Oh yeah, it's the Champagne Rugby Podcast, now brought to you by MAXRaft. I say now brought to you, I think it's been brought to you all season, but this is what's on the paper that I've been given. MAXRaft fitting insulated concrete slabs nationwide. The first step to a warm, comfortable, healthy home. And what a weekend, the final weekend of Super Rugby. I'm joined by James McOnie, who is absolutely champing at the bit to talk about some good old-fashioned quarter-final Super Rugby. My name's Tony Lyall, by the way. Do I introduce myself? I don't know how podcasts work these days.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Myself, yeah.
That's one of the greatest gags in a movie that is sort of where they stumbled across something so simple,
yes,
but so effective.
Yeah.
You know?
Austin Powers, underrated. Just a great film. I did hear they're thinking of doing another one, and when I heard that, I thought, not required.
Have you heard they're doing another Happy Gilmore?
Again, not required.
Yeah, it's funny because it's moving. I mean, Shooter McGavin's got his whole life on Cameo or one of those
He certainly has.
websites where you can get a shout out for him for $250. And I think the Chiefs got one from him where he sort of had a feud, Kendrick versus Drake beef with imaginary, of course, with Shooter Stevenson.
Yeah, of course.
And sort of and so they've used that device. But I was looking at him going, he's definitely senior tour now.
He looks
Shooter McGavin,
185 years old. He's really gone to the dogs. He's grey. He's a shit show of a man. And because Happy Gilmore must have come out in 1901. Like, if you think about when it actually came out, it's not a recent film. And I just think it's a perfect film. It's a perfect sports movie, so it's relatable to this podcast. We don't need to fuck with it. We don't need to go release another one unless the second movie is also perfect, which... my gut, my loins, my girth tells me that it's not going to be. But
well, Grown Ups wasn't great, but they made Grown Ups 2. And remember, there was that podcast. Was it Tim Batt?
It certainly was.
And Nick Sampson,
Guy Montgomery, I believe.
Guy Montgomery, the worst idea ever, is it?
Worst idea of all time.
Oh, sorry, it was Nick Sampson and Guy Montgomery.
No, it wasn't either.
It was Tim Batt and Guy Montgomery.
There we go. You had it the first time.
And that whole the fact that a bad sequel can be made after a bad movie just shows that there's no way they're going to not make this film.
Yeah,
but the issue is that Happy Gilmore, it's the distance between. Sometimes you say it's a good idea. I remember thinking when Star Wars, when they finally made the other ones, I went, shit, that's an eternity. But it's actually not as big as the gap, even though those were prequels.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Return of the Jedi was 82, 83, and then I think it was around the turn of the century they George was back with Phantom Menace.
It would have been 01 or 99 or something like that.
01. And so I was like, okay, that's massive, 17 years. But holy shit, I'd say Happy Gilmore would be what, late 90s?
Yeah, I'd say if not 1999 as well, almost maybe the same time as, I certainly was running around pretending to be Happy Gilmore for a while there.
Yeah, so there you go. It's a big, long time between drinks, long time between... Is it Powerade?
Yeah.
What is the drink?
I think it's Gatorade.
Gatorade.
But now I'm getting my Water Boys and my Happy Gilmore's confused. So saying water sucks, Gatorade's better, which again, wrong film.
The thing about Happy Gilmore is I think you're right in terms of being a perfect movie tied up with a bow. Everything happened and everybody forgave it for tying things up with a bow because we wanted Shooter McGavin to suffer. Mm-hmm. We wanted Happy to be the hero, get the girl, Grandma gets the house. Mm-hmm. What else can you do? Is there going to be developers from one of those corporations that are around Auckland coming in and bowling Granny's house?
Are they going to
She would have to be over 100.
They're going to bring Chubbs back from the dead with another arm, with a crocodile like this. They made up in heaven. It was perfectly tied off with a bow. I mean, she's definitely dead, Granny. She was about 98 years old.
It's funny how a character like Chubbs, who is an integral part of the movie, but, it's a minor role, but... major impact. It's like the guy from Dodgeball. You can dodge a wrench. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Chubbs is dead as well.
Is that Rip Torn?
It certainly is Rip Torn. Chubbs is dead in real life as well. There's been a lot of
Apollo Creed,
deceased people. Yeah, I don't think it's his birth name, but yeah, he is Apollo Creed. And I challenge any other rugby podcast to start with about 10 minutes on Happy Gilmore.
Well, the one thing I would say with Happy Gilmore is being able to get people to believe that some guy who was shite at hockey but had so much power. Adam Sandler sneakily puts in sporting prowess into a lot of his movies.
He does.
In Grown Ups, he was the he was the Steph Curry of that team.
He was, and in The Longest Yard, I believe he's playing basketball in the prison.
Yeah.
And is it Robert Redford is like, he's a natural athlete.
Yeah.
You can't teach that. He was
It's
just
like-
he picked up basketball and was instantly perfect at it. I think he was literally a quarterback in the longest yard. He was a NFL quality quarterback
That's right.
who had gone off the rail, drink driving, went to jail. Is it Robert Redford? Whoever that old man is in the longest yard.
Yes.
It's not Robert. I mean,
It's not Robert Redford.
we'll work out.
Is it?
No, it certainly isn't. It's another guy. He's
I
he
feel
looks
like
crazy.
I
He's
feel
had-
like there's a Billy Bob Thornton.
he's had a lot of
Or,
work done. Whoever it is.
No, that's Friday Night Lights, isn't it? All my American football movies get sort of they bleed into one, and it's always tough because you know Al Pacino is obviously delivering the speech on any given Sunday. Are you googling right now?
I'm trying
Are
to
you
find
googling
out.
while I'm
It's
googling?
Burt Reynolds is the name of the guy.
Bert.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds. He's the classic. He's a natural athlete. You can't teach that. Which, you know, I've actually adopted that as my personal mantra.
But do you know how hard golf is?
Yeah.
Like, I know that
I'm
it's so
awful at it
freaking
every
hard.
week.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. And what I find interesting with golf is every now and again you can hit if you can get a birdie. The pros are getting birdies. I'm every now and again I can be as good as a pro.
Well, Adam Sandler's getting birdie. Happy Gilmore's getting birdies all the time, and pretty much from the get go, he's winning giant checks and putting them in the back of his car.
Yes.
And that's
Happy learn how to putt.
it's right.
I'm going to watch it immediately after this, but I guess we should probably talk about rugby.
Let's
at some
talk about
stage.
it.
And I mean, we're done and dusted with the regular season. The Crusaders, see you later, bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the back of the butt when
Buttocks.
you're leaving. Eat shit and die. You're gone. No Crusaders in the post-season of Super Rugby. For the first time in something like 17 years, they're gone. They're out of here.
Can we just rewind a bit where you said about Shooter McGavin?
Yes.
He's grey. He's a shit show of a man.
He is. You're not grey.
I am grey.
You're sort of like salt and pepper, I believe that. You're sort of like salt. You're like what's the song they sing?
So
Wanna
salt
have
and pepper's
sex,
here.
baby. You and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex.
Yeah, so you're talking about
Let's
sex.
talk about.
That's
Okay.
fine. You're salt and pepper. He looks like he saw Hiroshima in person. He's not looking great.
Okay.
He's absolutely and because I think he's
Great save.
He's had some work done as well. So you know when you have work done and then you still age, so you just look like maybe you've been burnt.
I feel like it's a country western song. Have you seen that? Like, he's a shit show of a man. He's grey and a shit show of a man. But the thing is, we can make that song another time. We're here to talk about rugby.
We certainly are. I mean, I'm into it. Firstly, I think it's fine because I find it very unlikely he's going to hear this. Secondly,
It looks like seeing Hiroshima in person. He's a shit show of a man.
I thought that was a pretty good way to describe a guy. It's not too offensive.
It's pretty offensive, all right? Because I'm saying it
I'm not
tonight.
saying he was
He's
old
a shit show of a
enough to see
man.
Hiroshima. I mean, he was just there for a nuclear bomb in the proximity, so he's a bit worn and weathered.
Okay.
He's seen a sunbed. He's seen the inside of a sunbed. Has Shooter McGavin.
Oh, God.
Look at him.
He's a shit show of a man.
He looks like he's a Polaroid picture and it hasn't quite developed properly.
He isn't shaken like they should. Shake
Yeah.
it, shake it, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. We're talking about Outcast. We're talking about Andre 3000.
Speaking of Outcasts, the
Pre-breakup.
Crusaders, they're gone.
In the middle of the breakup.
Bombs over Baghdad. They're gone. They're out of here.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a scandal. And we may as well,
they like to think their shit don't stink.
They do, but if you lean a little bit closer, it smells like hoo.
Poo-poo.
I think it would have been a scandal, and we should have cancelled the competition had the Crusaders made their finals. I think it was down to what the Rebels and the Endrua playing their last game, and if the Rebels lost, then the Crusaders would have made it, and that it would have been ridiculous to win 3 games all season and be like, yeah, you're into the quarters.
Yeah, there would have been no justice, but at the same time, oh my goodness, what a storyline, because that would have been the cat amongst the Kedidoo. You chuck the Crusaders in that 8th seed going up to Wellington. What a game that would have been, because not that I want to jump ahead, but I feel like all the quarterfinals, well, the majority, are a little bit meh. But
yes,
you've got, obviously, the Reds are pretty good coming to play the Chiefs on Friday night. But the Orlando's going over to the Brumbies. That's the one where you could go, well, Can they do something?
Yeah. Your best case scenario for me as a Highlanders fan was against the Brumbies, and I think that was basically locked in very, very early doors. I don't even think we needed to play that game against the Hurricanes. That was just to ensure they were top seed, and so that was actually the Highlanders did that. I just want to put that on the record. The Highlanders tanked that game. That wasn't an accurate representation of where the teams are at. The Highlanders thought, we don't need to win this. Let's not go too hard. We don't want to hurt ourselves here. Let's just get through the game with no injuries. We actually want the Hurricanes on the top because, imagine if they fell over against the Rebels at home in the quarterfinals. Wouldn't that be a laugh? So I think that's the Highlanders intentionally cat amongst the pigeoning it.
There's no way that's going to happen. But
no, you're right.
You guys could win in Canberra, but
yes.
It's only... Is it Wednesday morning? When do they name? They name the teams today. We're actually recording before they've named the teams. But
yes,
can you really name, with confidence and authority, your starting tight five?
No, I think it's too close to call.
I am Groot and Big Old Holland, right?
Yes, you've got them chucked in there for sure. I mean, Henry Bell seems to be playing the house down at hooker, sort of a bit of a revelation down there. But other than that, I mean, I know Jermaine Ainsley's sort of been dancing around the other prop, so maybe he'll be there. But it is tough. And I think the whole team does seem to have been shuffled every week in, week out. I'm not sure if it's due to injuries or quite where we're at. But I think, that could be the one where we do surprise some people. But I do sometimes think my Kiwi bias shows because I just instantly picked all the New Zealand teams to win those games. And the Australian teams have been better. I mean, the Brumbies have won 12 out of 14, which is just as many as the Blues and the Hurricanes. We keep saying, the Canes and the Blues, the high-flying, but the Brumbies are just as high-flying as the Blues and the Hurricanes. They've won as many games. The reason that they're not on the top of the table is bonus points. And bonus points have been the deciding factor of this whole Super Rugby campaign.
Yeah.
It has all been decided by bonus points. Apart from the bottom four, they only won 4 games, and the Waratahs a miserable 2 games. What's going on with Sydney? But yeah, the rest of the whole table basically decided by bonus points.
I've got a theory about bonus points. It's a bit of a shit one, but I'll share it anyway.
Yeah.
Shit your up, man. It's that if you're playing and both teams need bonus points, for example, the Blues and the Hurricanes on that night, and one team's playing in torrential rain, it's a shit show of a night, then your chance of getting the 3 more tries is hugely reduced.
Yeah.
Whereas if anyone's playing under that roof of yours down in Dunners, then it can be a bit of a recipe for bonus points if you dominate the game. The one issue for the Landers is that every team that goes down there quite enjoys playing under the roof.
Yeah.
And they might actually get close to you. So I'm thinking that you guys may not have a lot of bonus points or attacking ones this season.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. It doesn't show on the table.
It certainly doesn't show on the table. I mean, you can do the rudimentary maths. If you say, well, the Highlanders won 6 games, ended up on 28 points, so 6 times 4 is your classic 24. So only 4 bonus points. But I mean, who knows if they're winning or losing? Is it?
Yeah. So that's the thing. And
losing bonus point, get rid of it. That's my hot take. Get rid of it. Losing bonus point, you're a loser. You're a chump. I don't want to see people getting 1 point for a bonus point
we got close, so we got a ribbon.
Yeah, it's really get rid of it. I mean, I know they're trying to motivate people to play an attacking brand of rugby, which is more enticing to watch. I think that's the reason they have bonus points. But I think it shouldn't be 3 tries ahead. I think it should be even make it more, make it even a harder thing. You've got to really thump the team to get them. Three's too few tries to get a bonus point.
It used to be 4 tries, you get a bonus point, but it didn't matter if the other team had scored 4 as well.
Yeah.
So it was like a winning bonus point. I get why they've had that gap thing put in there, and I think they're saying that's a thrashing, that's a paddling.
Yeah, that's a paddling.
But I actually do like the losing bonus point because if you have a heartbreaker, and rugby is such a weird game with all those last minute penalties. Not that I'm going to harp on, but the Luke Jacobson one the other week against the Hurricanes, where it was like, is that going to decide the game? It's going to decide the game. I sort of feel that you probably do deserve a bonus point. It's still a bit of a pulling your pants down at home. If someone's walking away with 4 points and you're going back to, you what do you call it, the recovery session the next day, and nobody's hooting and yahooing because you lost.
Yeah.
You still I don't know. I think that
You lost, though. You still lost the game.
I know that you're. Yeah, I mean, NRL they do that, don't they? You're a loser.
Yeah.
They say golden point, too bad.
Eat shit.
Eat shit. Is it 2 points for a win in the NRL?
It is 2 points. 2 points for a win, and that's it.
Rugby's gone.
Nothing for a bye.
Yeah, rugby's gone big into all those points, haven't they?
Well, nothing for a bye in rugby as well, which I feel like maybe you should get a little handshake, a little kiss on the lips.
No.
I guess it makes it pointless, doesn't it? Because everyone gets the same.
Everyone gets it. No, you should know exactly what you've earned should be on the table.
Yeah.
But
okay, I withdraw and apologise.
If you, I just feel like their losing bonus point does make sense in some way.
Well, you say that, but then the Waratahs won 2 games all season and ended up on 13 points on the table, which is they've won another game and losing bonus points. And you think that should be rewarded? That's what you're saying? Reward the worst teams with 13 points.
One of those might have been a winning bonus point.
Well, potentially 2 of them could have been. I'd be very surprised.
That's what I'm saying. No, one of them isn't because they had a golden point win against the Crusaders.
That is a real heartbreaker. Very funny.
That's how I know that, because they're that bad that you remember the one time they got up.
They really did as well. Was that after the
Bandcamp.
Hooter when they could have just drawn it out slightly longer? The Crusaders, what do you reckon? Rob Penny's got to go? Sort of a bit of a sign to the masses that they're making some sort of change, or do you think they'll double down and say, no, we in for a penny, in for a pound?
Oh, yeah.
That's good stuff. Feel free to use that on
I wonder
TV.
whether Rob Penny was a popular choice. So the CEO would have probably had the right of veto, or maybe the casting vote for Rob Penny. But it did feel like a step back in time. And when you had all of Razor's deputies being overlooked, I wonder how that went down.
And Rob Penny,
and so this is the thing: is can Rob Penny not only win the changing room but win the coach's office too? So if that's too hard, then I would say no more Rob Penny. But if they're really, and you'd have to do a real secret, super secret HR move here to say, is everybody okay with Rob? And they'd say, look, I'm not going to do this thing on SurveyMonkey. I know that you'll basically be able to know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use my own handwriting.
No.
But he's a freaking nightmare. Please save me from this hell.
They need an anonymous box that has a stamp and a rating from 10 to fire him. And so you just stamp on the line where you want. And no fingerprints.
No fingerprints.
Some gloves. So you can put it in, you can't trace it back.
Yeah, invisible ink, maybe.
On.
Could you do the invisible ink with the potato and the black light,
Yeah, that's nice. You don't want to get a black light too close to some of those guys, though. They'll light up
not
like
this
a Christmas
time of year.
tree. No.
Not after Mad Monday.
Not after Mad Monday. They'll be absolutely dripping in it. It probably is Mad Monday this week, so some of those are the Crusaders. It would have been weird for them. I mean, they haven't not celebrated a championship in 7 years.
So I think if they can do it secretly, they can roll him. But if they're happy with Rob, if everyone's happy with Rob, this is the thing. I don't know what's going on at the Crusaders. If everyone says, nah, he's a good bastard, then give him another chance.
Yeah, you think he will get one. It's also very funny. His name's Rob Penny. It's like Rob.
It's an action.
What are you going to do this afternoon? I'm going to rob Penny.
Rob Penny, yeah.
And pennies is a type of money. It's not great. What else is there? Rob Penny, Southtown Boother, that'll do.
Yeah.
I like that.
Rob Penny,
he is an old school guy.
It's something.
Yeah, it's something. It's something. It's a half-formed thought. He is obviously a local guy from Marlborough, so maybe that did factor into his hiring. But
I hope that when you walk down the streets of Marlborough, someone's listened to this podcast and said, you said to get rid of Rob Penny.
I never said get rid of him. All I'll say is...
You called him a shit show of a man.
No, that was Shooter McGavin.
Oh, okay.
The Crusaders are famed for having this, young, modern coaching style, right? Razor, he's all about, taking your sword into battle. He's got themed for campaigns. The players all love him because he's young and relatable.
The Battle of Agincourt.
And then they go and do the opposite, get an old school, hard-ass principal type in to come and take over. And it doesn't seem to mold to what they've created the whole brand on.
Could they do a Saving Private Ryan Crotty?
I think they might have to.
They have to do that. It'll be quite good, eh?
Yeah.
As a theme for the season.
I think
we've got to go in and save Ryan Crotty.
He
privately.
Looks, again, I wanted him with his beard back, Ryan Crotty. It was great to see him play that last game down there at whatever the stadium is these days.
It was nice seeing someone who's so genuine and a lovely bloke just say, this was my dream. I lived my dream. everybody else get fucked. I think that's what he said live on Sky Sport.
I heard him say that, actually. And
Yeah.
a white mouthguard, just as an aside, really does make it look like you've got incredible teeth. He stands up from scoring a try. He's happy, big smile, big grin. And I was like, look at this guy's teeth. Afterwards found out, obviously, he's wearing a mouthguard. But
He looks perfect in that mouthguard. I always wish I had one of those like semi-opaque ones, and it always looked average because you could see the outline of your teeth. I want one with the solid white. You look like Barney the dinosaur, and it's cool.
yeah, it is cool. Very, very cool. I always wore a blue and yellow one, sort of just running the Highlanders vibe. I also played for varsity in Dunedin, so that was also our colours. So that was how I took it. We're going to take a quick break now. We've had enough of hearing about my mouthguard. And is there any feeling better than moulding a mouthguard just before we do take a break? That bit when you take it out of the cup of hot water, you pop it in your gob, you squeeze it, your teeth feel sensitive, you put it in the cold water and you put it back in your mouth and it cools the gums down. That's how you feel alive.
That's a great one. And then you trim it a little bit with some scissors, just a little bit of trimmage.
Got to trim. You got to trim. I haven't played rugby in a long time, but I might mould a mouthguard.
I might too.
We might take a break and go mould some mouthguards. We're back very shortly. Okay, we are back in the Export Beer Garden studio, Champagne Rugby, brought to you by MAXRaft, insulated concrete slabs, warming homes around New Zealand, and now they want to give you the chance to head to your team's next home game. Text HEAT in your super team to 3236 to be in and win a double pass to your team's next home match. And we sort of were saying earlier that it's a bit of a weird situation, and I think it's widely agreed upon that 8 teams is too many in a 12-team comp to go through to a quarterfinals. It would have been an atrocity, the likes that never would have been seen in New Zealand rugby if the Crusaders had slipped through there. And so apparently next year they're going to change it, and I've just been handed this piece of paper by one of the producers here at the ACC. So this is what they've said, that the first would have a top 6 qualify from the 11 teams because the Rebels are obviously gone, and then eliminating 2 qualifiers and the quarterfinal systems as a whole. So there would be no quarterfinals, and which just the top 6, which I think we can agree is legit and fair. No one would be grudge seeing only 6 teams go through. And the teams who finish first and second on the ladder would be afforded a week's rest. And I guess this is like the NRL, isn't it? And the teams 3 to 6 play off against each other. And then the 2 winners of those first matches then advance and play teams 1 and 2 in semi-finals.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing they do in the A-League.
And so on, and so on.
And I think that's the obvious way to do it. When I hear this, though, the first thing I think of is, do you want to take a week off? If you're coming into form late in the piece, if you're in second, maybe you've battled your way up the table, you've won. Do you want to rest?
In contact sport, yes.
You want it?
Yeah, I think so. It didn't seem to, in football, I mean, it sort of worked, but let's just say the difference with the A-League is they play a home and away semi-final. So in the end, what we're saying is that those top teams will get a home semi and they will have the rest. I think the rest will work for them. Everybody will enjoy that. You think about any player who's got a little injury, something that's just been bugging them, they come through, they get another week to recover, they'll be tickety-boo. And I think from all the evidence that they say, it's a bit like how they say travel affects teams. They say that the rest makes a real big difference in the final quarter, and all the guys who you're asking to play the 80 minutes, which is how many reserves are there? 8 reserves? 6, 7.
No, you're right.
Anyway,
Time, 23.
8, yeah. So 8 reserves. So 7 players you're asking to go the full 80. Then that makes a big difference to those guys and to your overall performance. So yeah, I reckon it's good. I think it's a better thing because right now statistically it's harder to miss out on the playoffs.
Yeah, you have to be pretty shit to miss out on the playoffs. You have to be a pretty atrocious team down there at the top of the South Island to miss out on the playoffs. I think as well, any sort of maybe if you lose any sort of rhythm by having a week off, it's more than made up for by resting. And also, you'd have to think that first qualifier that the other teams have to play, that'll be a step up from regular season as well. They've both come to play. It's knockout footy, so they'll have a good old-fashioned crash, bash, ding-dong, and they're going to come out of that with some injuries, some niggle, they'll be sore, they'll be hurting, and then to have to go into another one, and, you might have a week off, you might hit one of those teams, and it's just a bridge too far. So you think it would have to benefit those teams that do get a week off. And in this instance, I mean, if we were to play that this year and hypothetically go through what that might look like, it would be the Fijian Drua and the Rebels who drop off. The Highlanders and the Brumbies would play in one of the qualifiers, and the Reds and the Chiefs in the other, and then the winners of those would play the Blues and the Hurricanes.
Exactly.
And you'd think that's probably about right. It's fair.
About right. That's okay. So format will change. We're still waiting for something like America to get a Super Rugby team, and I think that'll happen. They're gathering their forces. They're trying to work out what happens, who's going to be the bid. I think it'll be a West Coast thing. I think it'll be LA, and they will say, we want in, we're ready. We've got the money, we've got the stadium and everything sorted.
Stadium.
But they haven't. No, they're one. There'll be a home stadium.
Oh, yeah, I just like to say stadia.
Yeah, okay, fine. But they need a good home ground.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That
Think LA, they'd do it in LA? Or
I think LA, they'll push for that.
direct flight?
Direct flight. There is a rugby community there. So the LA San Diego area has got rugby people in it, and San Diego probably more so. But I can't see it just being a sole San Diego team. I'd say they'd need that LA money.
Yeah.
And that's where all the
San Diego.
Whale's vagina.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think that's enticing. That's exciting me. I'm thinking to myself, shit, I might have to send my CV over there to San
podcast
Diego.
for them.
Yeah, hey, do you guys need a podcast? Surely they're all about content over there, right? You get Snoop Dogg in to be an ambassador.
But if you're straight away, you see the billionaire owner and you say, he's great, what a shit show of a man, that would be...
Yeah, well, I hope it's not Shooter McGavin. That's the only person I've called a shit show of a man is Shooter McGavin.
Okay.
And I will go on record and say, Shooter, if you do own the LA rugby team in the future, I withdraw and apologise. You look great. Keep on looking into the sun.
He's a shit show of a man. He went over to Japan.
Yeah, the Holocaust
bomb came down in the... Yeah, man.
Yep. I said the wrong word there, so if anyone heard me mention an H word underneath you singing, please, that's my bad.
Okay.
I would say cut that out, but I believe everything should make it on to the final podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we're this far into this podcast that anything could happen to it. I mean, I'm expecting G-Lane to just come in with a literal axe and just say, it's over.
Guys, we're done here.
Yeah.
Please stop saying that the Holocaust looks good on you, which is what I did say. I apologise. I meant the Hiroshima, but I said the Holocaust.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. I missed that.
Yeah, I regret
Why
restating
even
it.
coming back and
I've doubled down.
underlining
I've doubled down. Let's talk about these goddamn quarterfinals.
Let's go.
Unless there's a bigger issue you want to get off your chest first.
One thing I'd just like to say is the Blues absolutely had a shocker. They whiffed. They kicked themselves. How do you kick yourself?
Kick yourself in the
It
dick.
can be done. They kicked themselves in the dick.
Yep.
And which would be almost like a sort of like one of those Russian Cossack dances. They could kick themselves in the dick.
They could. You can also knee yourself in the teeth. I've done a manu one time and I didn't quite get it right, and I kneed myself in the teeth and it really sucked.
Well, let's say they kicked themselves in the dick and
Yep.
kneed themselves in the teeth
Nice.
by not getting that bonus point when all they needed to do was hold out the Chiefs, and I thought that was pretty shite.
Yeah, it's
Why
an
do
absolute
that?
humiliator.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, good on them as well for being like, this means
Yeah.
nothing to us. This is
Yeah.
completely pointless. But we know it would be annoying for them to do it, so
Yeah.
let's give it a whirl. And they waltzed in.
Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs are saying, we're going to just do the thing. We've got a trip down State Highway 1 in the bus, and like that's what we have to do. Whereas you guys, at the end of the game, you'll win without a bonus point. So when you go around and get your selfies, you'll be just so annoyed.
I couldn't help but think, though, the Chiefs would almost want the Blues to be...
Totally. It's a fuck up from the Chiefs.
I
Look,
was thinking the same thing.
As a fan, I was going, you need to let the Blues score again or do something, or don't try so hard, because for us, for the Chiefs, it's like a trip up State High 1's easy. We basically pack out the stadium. It's half almost for Chiefs Blues games, the big ones. And going down to Wellington is tough.
I couldn't get my head around the decision at the time. I thought, why are you doing this? And also, I live in Auckland. I would prefer a final in Auckland. I'd go along. It would be fun.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go to Wellington. I mean, as an impartial, I'd go to the final. I'd go to the Super Rugby final in Auckland, of course. Be the first one here since, the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman one, which obviously has a huge asterisk beside it for the Blues fans, if you're listening.
Oh, no, did they host one against the Crusaders and the Crusaders got up?
Oh, they certainly might have.
I call it the Ollie Jaeger final because I thought he was exceptional.
It's good for a prop to get some credit.
Oh no,
as well.
he didn't actually get man of the match. I'm like, Ollie Jaeger was the best player. He was running first receiver. He give it out the back to Moonga like they do in those plays. But if you're running that pod perfectly, then Ollie Jaeger take a bow. That was your final.
Yeah, and I mean the Jaeger bombs would have flown. Surely, I mean, have you met him? Have you done a Jaeger bomb with him?
No, I haven't. I think he's got a mixed up accent. Is he part Irish, part English, part Kiwi?
Does he sound sort of like he's just been to the dentist?
Yeah.
It does strike me as he might have a bit of
I don't know, but he's
a mouthful. Well, the Chiefs, I mean, they're kicking it off on Friday against the Reds. I'm assuming you're commentating that one for the ACC?
Yeah, it's going to be a horrible biased commentary, but I'm worried about the Reds with McRae Day, probably the best number 7. He's probably, I'd say he'd be number 1 on turnovers. I couldn't find the stat because as soon as you Google Super Rugby stats, it gives you stuff from like flankers from yesteryear come up. It's like, oh, George Smith, right, cool.
Yes, they
yeah,
it's
Skulkberger, great.
Super Rugby. If you're listening, we love you. I mean, we have a whole podcast dedicated to you at this stage. But sort your shit out. The fact that there's no one website, there's Super Rugby Aotearoa, there's Super Rugby Pacific, there's all different forms of information coming at you. There's not even a website where you can go and look at all the current teams in the competition.
I kind of go to Rugby Pass just because it has the best coverage of all the games. But you're right in terms of
it's insane.
The weird thing is they don't do proper player profiles anymore, which fucking pisses me off. It's like, just give me like where they're from and what school they went to and their club team. I like all that information.
100%.
And I like to know a little sort of just 50 words on how they came through and they started off in the wider training or whatever it is, and then their dad played for Hawke's Bay as well or something. I mean, I like all that stuff.
I'm going to have to get in touch with Super Rugby and maybe I'll do it. I'll volunteer as tribute to do it myself next year. I can't go to Rugby Pass. It's just, I mean, it's good information, but you just got to wade through them absolutely, getting down on both knees for Antoine Dupont. I just can't do it. Every content piece they do is, look at how great this guy is.
Oh, what's that? World Rugby?
Insanity. No, Rugby Pass, if you follow any of their social media.
Antoine Dupont.
It's every single post is the GOAT has landed. Look at this guy, the greatest rugby player of all time. It's insane to me that they're so into this one player.
I know what you're saying.
I think they know because it gets a rise out of Southern Hemisphere.
No, it's because they finally got a player who, at that point in time, was the best, right? He was the best player in the world. He deserved the World Rugby Player of the Year. But you look at all the players who have won that award and never kept the status of best in the world. You have to win it over and over again, multiple times. I think Richie only won it twice, did he? Richie McCaw?
I think he did win it a couple of times. I mean, DC's won it a couple. Bodie's won it a couple.
Bodie's won it twice. Retallick's won it once.
Yeah, once. What a year he had as well.
Oh, but the thing is,
I think when a forward wins it, even when a knotty flanker wins it, that's when you know that they are an out-and-out superstar.
Yeah. Last year, Artie won it, and you can't take that away from him, but after that World Cup final, they should have just gone, oh shit, it's Peter Steph du Toit.
Yeah.
It's Peter Steph.
It's Paul the Pin.
It's Paul the Pin. It's him. He like just basically won the fucking World Cup final.
Yeah.
He was the best player by miles. Like, if you're doing player rankings, it's Peter Steph du Toit and the rest.
Yeah, it's like giving Darren Lockyer the player of the match in the 2008 Rugby League World Cup final that the Kiwis won. Yeah. You know, you don't give it that player. You give it to someone in the team that won the thing.
That won the thing. They should have just scrapped the whole thing and just said, it is Peter Steph. Sorry, Artie, I think you're amazing. But
we love you, Artie. Obviously,
we love you. But it was just, it was. Remember Lockyer? Oh my God, that was terrible.
How many dollars do you think Artie's lost in Bitcoin? Do you think is he
promoting Bitcoin?
No, he's just a big crypto guy. He, in the heyday, he was all about it. I do remember listening to a podcast where he said he tried to negotiate some of his NZR contract to get paid in cryptocurrency, and they said, no, we're not doing that. But you have to think, some of those guys, I know TJ was a big crypto guy. That Wellington, I think, crew was right into it. You have to imagine there's been a little bit of devaluation. We don't get stuck into the weeds of their financial affairs, but just something to mull over.
Yeah, it's the crypto thing is quite interesting because a mate of mine said he's made a lot of money from Bitcoin and he was kind of flexing a bit, and I'm going, good on you. But he is living at his ex-girlfriend's place currently. But hey, I'm sure he can get that Bitcoin.
His life's in ruin.
He's not, but
the Reds, just to stay on the Chiefs game for one more moment, they only just won to the hapless Waratahs, the awful Waratahs, the woeful Waratahs, by 1 point on the weekend, and probably should have lost. And do you reckon that's the rev up they'll need and they're going to come out firing against the Chiefs this week?
Yeah, I think. Well, remember last year they beat the Chiefs. It was underpowered Chiefs in New Plymouth, and then they were very good for 3/4 of the game, in the in the playoffs last year. Then they won in Brisbane. So, yeah, the Reds there's no fear, is what I'm saying. And they probably feel a couple of tweaks, they'll be able to beat us. And the cabin boy is a master. Tate McDermott at halfback runs the show. I think McCrae is the best open side. But not only that, they've just got all the pieces seemingly right. And now they've got the junkyard dog.
Yeah.
Is it Daly? I forget his name. That's shite from me. But, he scored 5 tries in 4 games or something stupid. And now they've got a genuine star that's emerged, which I sort of feel needs to happen, a bit like how the Hurricanes have Peter Larkai.
Yeah.
Where you go, okay, this guy is amazing. Can't wait to see what he does. And now they've got themselves a guy called Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan, thank you for coming along and lighting up rugby, but Chiefs shut down that frickin' Tim Ryan junkyard dog.
I'm looking forward to seeing the junkyard dog get selected for the Wallabies, play against the All Blacks and be humiliated, as will happen to every Super Rugby superstar. And I mean that happens to the All Blacks players when they have a breakout season in Super, then they jump up to the next level and they'll come up against South Africa and, be humiliated. It happens to the best of us.
Everyone needs to be humbled. The correct meaning of the word humbled. I hate it when someone wins an award and they say, oh, this is so humbling, or they get a Queen's birthday honour and they go, oh, this is so humbled. It's like, that's not being humbled. Being humbled is having your ass handed to you when you think you're going to win. So it's the losers who are humbled, not the winners. So stop going up there and claiming some crappy, half-assed moral high ground of I'm humbled. It's like, no, you're not. You're proud. You're whatever it is, stoked, thrilled. This is a real big deal to me, but you're not fucking humbled. You're humbled as if you fall off the stage and, smash your face or something.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of humbled.
They're feeling almost like self-conscious. I can understand why you'd say
self-congratulations.
You're feeling humbled. You're feeling, almost like shy of like, not me. You're saying, I want to be humble in the accepting of this award.
Yeah, I think what you're after is embarrassed.
Embarrassed is the word.
I'm embarrassed to beat these guys. If you said that, then I would accept that. I'd say, yes, correct. Well said. Correct use of the English language, but you're not fucking humbled.
You're not humbled.
You're not humbled. You are you've won.
You're just a guy.
Yeah, you're just a guy who's gone up there and you've decided this is a way to make me look like a bit of a good guy as a humble person. Just by saying the word. You could just go up there. I'm waiting for the next person to win a big award and go up and say, humble, 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 humbled. I'm so humble and I'm humbled. Just remember, if there's one thing you take away from this award speech, I'm humble. Holla, holla, sit down, bitch. Be humble.
Holla, holla, sit down, bitch. And speaking of getting humbled, the Rebels are going to get humbled against the Hurricanes.
Oh, they will.
On Saturday, 4:35 p.m. The Rebels are going to get humdigger humbled. I'd say they're going to get teabagged. They're going to get hummed out. They're going to get all the rest. It's going to be a bloodbath, and that'll be the end of them in Super Rugby. But I will say this.
A teabagging in the cake tin.
A teabagging in the cake tin. It would be fucking hilarious should the unthinkable happen. And
Peter Larkai
Rebels
drops it down low. Maybe a Safo Amua. He's kind of got those big thighs.
He could.
He can dip it down.
Do a deep squat. I think it'd be funny if the Rebels somehow, against all odds, beat the Hurricanes, knocked out the top team in their final year, then next week beat whoever they play. Imagine if the Rebels won Super Rugby in their final year. Just, I'd almost say it's not going to happen, almost guaranteed. But just entertain it for a moment in your mind's eye and think, what a joy that would be should a team who's getting knocked out. What a finger it would be to the Super Rugby officials, to everyone who didn't believe them, the haters. I mean, they've got that written on their whiteboard in the changing shed for sure.
They should really take the field with plastic spoons over their eyes to block out the haters.
They should.
That's what I think they should do.
Some Kanye-style sunnies.
That would be the best way, just to show the world what they're talking about. We are the Rebels. We're blocking out the haters, and then they'd have to take them off before kickoff.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Someone would have to collect them with a bag or something like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want them being a litter.
You would recycle them.
Yeah, you want to recycle them. Maybe use them afterwards for so they can eat some humble pie.
Blacking out the haters. Is that one of the first viral videos?
I'd say it'll be one of them. I think the first viral video was David After Dentist. That was the they say that's the first viral video.
Or what about the kid who says, Charlie bit me? Or
Charlie bit my finger. Yeah, it's a classic of the genre.
Yeah, the sneezing panda was early.
Sneezing panda. Yeah, did he sneeze himself off a tree or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I mean, go watch all of these after you finish. I might give myself a taste.
Okay, let's go.
You are right. They are underwhelming fixtures. And then 7:05 Blues against the Fijian Drua at Eden Park. I'll be doing the commentary for that one.
Beautiful.
On Sky Sport 9. So tune in. I think on Saturday it's a Super Saturday as well. Hurricanes and Rebels and Blues versus Fijian Drua, all on Sky Sport 9. So just park your ass and watch it all. But I think it's going to be the Canes and the Blues just wading through that mirth.
Totally. It feels like it's all set up for Canes Blues in Sky Stadium, the Cape Tin. So we're heading towards that. If somebody can get in the way, let's make it the Chiefs, please. If the Landers can do a job in Canberra, I think that's the game that I'm most interested in watching this weekend.
It's on immediately after that Blues game. So
Perfect.
Just sit down, slob out, make a beast of yourself, make a freak show of yourself.
Make a shit show of yourself.
Make a shit show of yourself. Look straight at Hiroshima, I say, and park up from 4:30 and watch rugby union till midnight and just let your loved ones walk out on you. Just absolutely engorge yourself with pizza and liquor and just have a good time.
Lick who?
Liquor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your
We'll
hard liquor, your bourbons, your spirits, your...
liquor.
Not a big spirits guy, especially not watching sport. I very seldom sip straight hard liquor.
Can I tell you a story about covering the AMP show, Stratford AMP show back in the day? As an early reporter,
that sounds like an early reporter's job.
Early reporter. Go to the Stratford AMP show. They have Miss Stratford AMP, and they miss whoever their sponsor is, and there was a Miss Super Liquor. And that cracked me up.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I remember they came up on stage and the guy goes, "Here she is, Miss Super Liquor." And I actually worked with Miss Super Liquor, and she didn't really realise how I loved it from the start. I thought this is fucking hilarious. Yeah. And she got kind of pissed off that I laughed so much at being Miss Super Liquor.
Yeah, well, because she's probably doing it seriously. She's thinking, this is my big break. You know, if this goes well, I could be a Red Bull girl. Yeah. And no, and they're going, ha, ha, ha. It sounds like they're making innuendo about you and everything you hold dear.
But even Miss Liquorland is no better.
No, Liquor Landing.
Liquorland.
That's no good.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just anything with liquor in it is funny if you're going to sponsor a beauty pageant contestant.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's because it sounds like liquor.
Yeah.
I get the joke. I think it's hilarious. They should do more of it. Yeah, I think we should probably do a TAB Good Hunch this week. And I think it's going to be a bit of a spanking at the Cape.
Will you choose this one?
Yeah, I reckon the Canes, they're going to absolutely humble the Rebels. They're going to kick them out of Super Rugby with their pants around their bum after spanking the bejesus out of them. So let's do a fatal three-way. 3 Hurricanes to score in that game.
We've already done this one.
We have?
Yeah, that was the one we did 20 minutes ago.
I think you might have lost your mind and forgotten about what we were talking about on the podcast and off the podcast.
Oh, right.
But that's all right.
Oh, was that when we were in the was that when we were in the break?
Yeah, I think you've looked into Hiroshima as well.
Oh, right. Well, so anyway, this is my idea for a bet. You've got to come up with your own one. Thank you for reminding me that this wasn't on air. But I'm saying we get a Asafo Almoa, a TJ Perenara, and whoever's playing on the left wing, Rayasi or Kenny Naholo. Yeah, I'm quite happy to take a Morby and maybe say any 3 of those 4, if that's an option as well, because I think he's due a try. And he's due a try.
Okay. I like that. I'm happy I'm
not going back there.
I'm happy to just say let's go with that. I might do my own one as well. I reckon the Highlanders to win 12 and under, and Timothy Tavatavanawai to score a try. We'll tally those up and chuck 100 bones on it, 100 bonus bets, in fact. So that is the Highlanders 12 and under and Tavatavanawai to score a try.
And that's all right. We're done.
Yeah, I think that's fine and done. That's the team's selection.
Yes,
we can go for.
Well, when I said you come up with one that I've already. So I didn't realise we did that off here. Sorry, people.
It makes me wonder what you think is on the podcast and what you think is off the podcast.
All I know is what's on the podcast could get us into some strife, but hey, we've done that from day one, and who gives a shit?
Hey, man, you got to...
I'm with Ryan Crotty.
You got to fly close to the sun. You got to fly close to the sun, otherwise you'll never see if these wings will stick. That's the Icarus story in a nutshell. You got to test it out. And go the Highlanders, by the way. No one believe. We'll make them believe on Saturday night.
Up the Chiefs, and we'll see you next week.